Want to go for a Sunday drive? Why the sheets not, I say? Why the sheets not? Possibly one of the stupidest advertising slogans I've ever heard in my life, or marketing slogans. Who the hell says why the shit not? I don't know. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It's Labor Day weekend, and or it's not good morning. Excuse me. It's afternoon. It's morning for me because I got up this morning. I took Major out for her walk and came inside, and next thing I know, it's noon. And we're both asleep on the couch. I don't remember how. I don't remember when. All I know is I woke up with my dog curled up at my feet on the couch, both dead to the world. And let me tell you something, I needed it. I felt so drained yesterday. I gotta learn to stop every once in a while. You know, you just keep on going. You feel like if you stop or if you decline an invitation, that will be the first thread that, unravels everything you've worked for. And, so you got to keep going. I guess it's FOMO, fear of missing out. That keeps you going. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy because you just go and go and go to the point of exhaustion, and then you sleep from 6:30 a.m. to 12 noon after you just woke up having gone to bed at 10:30 p.m. So that's a lot of sleeping. I do feel refreshed though, so that's good. But we're going to take a little drive. I just went to Giant, and then I had to stop at Sheetz, and now Giant, for those of you who don't know, is the supermarket in the area, one of the supermarkets in the area. And now we're heading back into town via Highway 15, via one of the Battlefield exits, because we're going to go around the Battlefield. Yesterday, I took a tour of Culp's Hill with Jeff Wolf, licensed guide and listener of the show. Apparently, I invited him on the show, but he was a little trepidatious about that. He's like, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't know. And I said, well, I'm not asking you to do it tomorrow, so think about it. And because I like to get new guides on. It's good for them, gets their name out there. It's good for the listener, it's a little variety, and it's good for the regular guides who come on the show because we're not working them like dogs. Oh, and I think where were we going to go? Oh, yeah. So anyway, the tour was good. We went from basically just below Green Statue all the way down to Spangler's Meadow and then back up again. And it was good. Culp's Hill, we've done a couple of tours of Culp's Hill, but I never get to pay attention on the get out of the car tours because I gotta play host to make sure everything's okay. So I really don't. And then people always want to talk to you and stuff. So it's hard to pay attention to the tour, which is a shame because I started this to learn, and I don't get to do it. So, yeah, it was nice to actually just take a tour and get to be a tourist. It's fun. Let's see. Hello, Michael. Hello, Ty. Hello, Dustin. Hello, Ty again. Let's see. Happy Labor Day, fellow Gettysners, says Ty. Dustin says, sipping on a Yingling while listening to Matt Calorie. How holidays were meant to be. Yes. I'm the Andy Williams of other holidays for history nerds. Any updates on Little Round Top and a possible opening date? Yes. They have gone from saying, well, we don't want to give a date because this is a weather-dependent project, to giving an exact date and time down to the minute, Ty. No, of course there's no update on that. Listen. Little Round Top. Let me just put it to you like this. That's the best advice I can. Look, they want it. Of course, they want it to be open. They want it to be done. They want people to come back in and see what they did and be able to enjoy it and all that other stuff. So it's not like they're holding out. It is a weather-dependent project. It's all outdoors. So if you get a month of rain or you get snow or whatever, like that's gonna push things back. And they what was I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for here, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, when we did the last live stream, which by the way, we're doing another one in October. But when we did the last live stream up there back in April, I think a week before, Steve Sims took us up there and walked us around, and we were doing a test walk, kind of just a run through, but we were also checking signal to see if we'd be able to do it as a live stream. And let's see, which way shall I go? I'm gonna go left. Sorry, I'm getting the hiccups all of a sudden. So I asked, and while we were walking around, I think a guy was actually the foreman, and he was there. They were done for the day, but he was there still, I guess, or maybe he was waiting to see. I don't know what he was there for, but he was there. And so he saw us and didn't recognize us because Steve didn't have his uniform on. And, so he came over to us and, we started talking and asking questions. He was kind of showing us what was what. And I said, do you guys have a date as to when you're going to be finished? Like, do you have an end date for this? And him and Sims laughed and they shook their heads and like, no, we don't. And then the guy explained, he's like, this is a completely weather dependent project. As long as it's nice, we can work. But, if you get a couple of months of a lot of rain and snow and bad weather, especially in the winter, that's going to throw you off. So, so I know that, like, certain things that you do in winter, like, it still has to be, like, above a certain temperature, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe that's the way it used to be. I think somebody might have corrected me on that the last time I said it. Anyway, point is, the projected time it was going to take was 18 to 24 months. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, and he was like, so by the time I come back next spring, it should be open, right? And I was like, no. And he's like, why? They said 18 months. And I said, no. They said 18 to 24 months. And it's, people hear what they want to hear. 18 to 24 months means 18 to 24 months, not 18 months. So it's at least going to be 2 years. Well, it's at least going to be 18 months. Probably 2 years, depending on the weather this winter, maybe longer. But it's already been a year, which went really fast. So I think we'll be surprised how quickly the next year goes. And if it's a few months after that or whatever, who cares? You can see a lot of stuff from down on the ground. Like, you can see the Texas Trail. That looks pretty nice. And if you look closely enough, maybe if you have binoculars, you can look and see the differences, like around the 44th New York. If you look There's a retaining wall now at the base of it. But in making that retaining wall, they discovered the original ground. In other words, the battleground, the ground that the soldiers actually stood on was discovered under the ground, or under the fill used to make, or to put the monument up. Because that's all that ground was. Like the castle monument, for those of you who need to picture what it is, that monument was put on fill. So that's not on the original ground that the soldiers tread upon. So now you get to, now it's shored up with a retaining, and you get to actually walk on the ground that the soldiers walked on in front of it for the first time since they built that monument. So that's pretty cool. I think we're all gonna be pleased with it. It may not be what you're used to, but I think enough time will have flown by where you won't remember what you were used to. And the difference is, well, while they might appear stark when you first see it, they're actually pretty subtle. Nothing much is really changing. You're still not going to be allowed to jump up on the Warren boulder. But, you know. Kevin says where I was when he wrote that, but I think on the Wheatfield Road down in Death, and we're going to turn on Crawford, since we were just talking about Little Round Top. Let's see what we can see. Deflating and inflating of the rocks. We're heading into fall, so the rocks that are visible will be deflated. The boulders, I mean. The boulders that are up on top, they never reinflated them because they were doing construction. So those are just empty canvas bags. Here, I'll pull up here on the pull-off and give you a view of the precipice known as Little Round Top. Let's see, maybe I can show you some things here. Dustin, thank you very much with the gas money. Oh wait, have a great holiday and a beer on me. Okay, for the beer money. All right, what is that, 90? I always forget, 91st Pennsylvania, right? All right, let's see, can we see? Hold on, let me try to keep that still for you. It's hard to do when you're zoomed in. But you see that tannish color in front of the monument? That wasn't there before. That is graded to make it a little, well, I don't know exactly what it is to do. Probably make it a little safer to walk in that area. I'm not sure. They told me what that was for, but of course I forget. Now let's go over here to the castle. Now you really can't see what they've done to the castle. Maybe when we go forward, I can get a different angle. But so that's really the 91st PA is the only visible from the ground difference for now. You might recall that had a retaining wall. And a couple of waysides that faced the rest of the battlefield, so a little kind of northwestish or north-ish. What I'll do is I'll get up on Devil's Den and see what we can see there. It's 94 sweltering degrees here today in Gettysburg. Labor Day weekend, and look at how not busy it is. God, this really concerns me. Okay, it really does. It's just a sign, because, you know, tourism is a luxury. So, all right, so you see the Texas Trail? See, that's nice. And there, can we make out much of? No, I still can't make it. Let me move up here a little bit. I don't want people to think I'm trying to get them in the shot here. All right, so there. But the bushes are obscuring it. I guess you're just gonna have to wait for October when we do our live stream up there, and you'll see it more clearly because we'll be right up on it. Now you can go back to April on the stream we did back then, and you'll see. What will you see? Well, you will see something. Now you will see the work that they had done up, obviously, and you might be able to imagine what it might look like now, or what it will look like in the end. Ty Webb says, has the corn on the battlefield reached 20 feet in height yet? Not 20 feet, but it is as tall as a man, as they say. It'll block your view. You know, we might see some cornfields. I think there are a couple in this area. They might have been, they're a little lower. So I don't know if they were planted later or if it's a different kind of corn, or I don't know what the deal. You might notice the light gravel dirt on the left of the shot there that's just disappeared. That is new gravel that they put on certain pull-offs. So it'll be a smoother. I know there in that spot, when you would pull off there was like a 6-inch to foot-long drop in some places off the pavement. Same with on Little Round Top. Again, the reason they're renovating or rehabbing. So they brought it up level. Of course, it'll be worn down with some rain and some usage, but whatever. It'll take a while for it to get back down as low as it was. Michael Six Question Lens says there has been a lot of progress. It's impressive. I agree, Mike. I'm with you on this one. I mean, do I miss going up there at sunset? Yeah. Does the hopeless romantic in me wish that he could have taken his girlfriend up there soon after they started dating to watch the sunset and whisper sweet nothings in her ear like, I really have to burp, but I don't want to embarrass myself in front of you just yet? You know, yes, I do. But those are the breaks, you know. I think it'll be worth our not being able to use it for the duration of the project. Once it's done, I think we're going to be impressed. I have to tell you, and I don't just say this because, you know, he's been good to addressing Gettysburg, and I consider him a buddy. When I bump into him, we always have a pleasant conversation. But I really do have to say that I think Steve Sims is doing a very good job. He has got a position that I would not want, because it's one of those positions where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You can never win fully. You can never have a full, complete, decisive victory as the superintendent of Gettysburg National Military Park, one of the most beloved civil parks, if not national parks in general, in the country. So I would not want that job. You have to have nerves of steel, I think, to deal with that. So I gotta give him credit, because A, he's doing a job I couldn't do, and B, he's doing a job no one would ever ask me to do, and C, I think the things that he's implementing are a good thing for the park. I think this, you know, the paving, the Little Round Top, the Devil's Den, the Culp's Hill, all these things. Now, a lot of these things, let's be honest and fair, a lot of these things were decided long before he was even a candidate for the job. But he's making it happen. He's implementing it well, and he does keep the visitor in mind. And I know a lot of people don't believe that, or they don't want to believe that, or they don't want to concede that, or give him the benefit of the doubt, because you know, I don't know, whatever the reason is. Um, but I really do believe it. I've had conversations with him about it, and he tells me how they're doing. The thing is, like, the general public can't possibly know every little thing that goes into, because in a way I kind of have that are not explained. You just learn the decision, right? And sometimes it feels like it's out of the blue. Oftentimes it is. But in reality, that has been discussed. It has been hashed out and rehashed and hash browned over and over and over again behind the scenes for God knows how many months or years. So by the time you hear about it, they're saying, okay, this is our plan. This is what we're doing. There are opportunities for public comment, which most people don't, first of all, they're not aware of. And secondly, they don't participate in. They just wait until there's a post on the Park Service's website or Facebook page, announcing something, and then they give their opinion when it's too late. It is too late. And frankly, we all know this trick that government plays on us. The public commentary is purely ceremonial or symbolic. It has no effect on anything. How many times does public comment go against whatever it is, council or Congress or whoever wants to do, and does that body say, hey, you know what, guys, maybe they're right? No, they never do. They do it anyway, right? So it's just a steam valve just to let you, or a pressure valve just to let you feel like you have some say in your government. But the point I'm trying to make is, I understand the pain in the ass that it's got to be, because when we do stuff with addressing Gettysburg, I always have to laugh at certain comments that we get, like old shows especially. Someone, you could tell someone just stumbled upon it, like they aren't a regular listener. They just stumbled upon it and they leave some comment like, it'd be really nice if there was a map or visuals or something so we knew what you were talking about. And it makes my brain, like, do you ever take like a wet towel and wring it out? And that twisting movie, you twist one way with one hand and the other way with the other hand. That's what happens to my brain when I read those, because I want to lash out and I want to say, listen, MFer, do you have any freaking clue what I'm dealing with? Do you realize the resources I have? Do you realize that, the amount of money I make off of this thing, if I were to make it and keep it all for myself, most people would be like, well, it's not a bad living, but I really can't live off it. But I have to split it 3 ways. I have to split it between myself and my needs, the show's needs, and then 30-something% of it needs to be put aside for Uncle Sam. And it's very hard for me. I don't get refunds, because I'm self-employed. These are choices I make. I'm not complaining. It's not pleasant. It should not be so horrible to stand on your own 2 feet. But that's the price to pay to make your own decisions for yourself. Okay, fine. That's what you got to do. But it's like, I would rather be able to put that third into expanding the show. And you can say, well, you could write that off. Yeah, you can't write all of it off. And you can't write 100% of it off. So you still have to have something aside. So then I'll be splitting it 4 ways. Anyway, the point is, that's one thing, is the resources to do these things. You think I don't want to put visuals on these things? Of course I do. But the point is, it just shows that people don't know, consumers of things do not know all that goes into producing things. And if they ever had to spend a day either in Steve Sims' position or even in my little position, they would be like, how the hell do you do this every day? I had this conversation the other night. We were talking about it. A listener was in town with his dad, and Cindy and I went to dinner with the 2 of them. And with Matt Shapinsky. I don't know if you guys have recognized that name from comments and stuff, but I always have fun with Matt. He's a funny guy, and his dad's hilarious too. And so we were just talking about things, and he said, he's like, I don't know if I could ever do what you do because the risk is just too great. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, but you have 2 little kids. I don't. So like, yeah, the sacrificing and the keeping my eye on the ball have paid off, but like I started the ball rolling 20 years ago, not necessarily to do Addressing Gettysburg, but to make a living in this way. And it had to be in my own path. And good luck finding a woman who's going to put up with and going to have a family with a man who's trying to find his way. She might be able to last 3 months, maybe 6 months, but sooner or later she's going to be like, all right, it's time for you to give up on this and get a real job. And that is something I was always aware of, and I always resisted because I knew if I had done that and then saddled myself with kids and all that other stuff, this could never happen. And so I always have to laugh when people think it's as easy as sneezing to make this stuff, because it's not. And I'm not trying to like make myself look like a hero or any kind of martyr or anything like that, but it's just the fact of the matter is, like, when you do things out of nothing, you create something from scratch. I always say you have to be CEO and janitor and everything in between until it really starts to work and you can hire those people. And some people, and I think I'm going to be one of them, never really get to the point where they get big enough where they can hire. We're big enough now where I need to hire, but I can't. So, and that's a really shitty position to be in, because that means you either continue to carry the burden yourself, or you start to stop doing certain things just because it's not an intelligent use of your time and energy. And I really don't want to do that, because I like doing all the things that we do. And also the public can interpret, like, if we stop doing AG today, they can interpret that as everything's falling apart and this is the beginning of the end, when really it's a preservation move, in the hopes that you could preserve yourself enough to then come back. Like, it's a strategic redeployment, right? It's a I'm forgetting the other term that I'm trying to think of, but it's a retreat to regroup and come back stronger, I guess is what I'm saying. So anyway, there was a rant that nobody asked about or asked for. Tom Candyman says, in the meantime, make excuse me. I love when you choke on your own spit. Mike says, before Little Round Top closed, I looked under the Vincent Rock. It looked too neat and arranged. Makes sense if they move things around to build the 44th New York Monument. Yeah. Kevin says, thanks, man. I can see where you are now. First thought you might have been driving the new rental house. Oh, no. No, I will not be purposefully driving to the new rental house on a live video. I accidentally drove home to my current house on one and immediately deleted the video. Hello, Karen. How are you? Josh McDowell says, I was in Gettysburg yesterday. Perfect day on the battlefield. Wish I could have stayed all weekend, but had to get back home. Now, at least you got down here. At least you got down. Or up. I don't know where you're from. David Armstrong says, hey, Matt. To which I respond, hey, David. Ty Webb, yes, taking your loved one to Little Round Top, getting down on bended knee, and asking that stern question, did Captain Johnston actually make it up here? Yes, we all dream of it. Karen says he has a vision and is sticking to the best interest of the park front and foremost. Yes, I think he does. Now, the one thing he knows that I disagree with him on is the park hours. And I keep trying to negotiate some kind of a peace between the Park Service and the visitors that would allow us to stay out there at least till 10 o'clock at night. And the reason for that is I think everyone should experience the magic of the battlefield after dark. I don't know what it is, and I tried to explain this to him, and I felt like an idiot doing it, but, and you understand this, folks, those of you who have been out there when the visiting hours were 10, or ended at 10, there's just something about being out there at night. And even though you may be thinking this, I'm not talking about ghosts. I'm talking about something else. It's quiet, it's peaceful. There's not a lot of people around. You can't, unless it's a full moon, you can't see more than 5 feet in front of your face. And there's just something very peaceful about that and very enchanting. And it's something I hope, I mean, you can definitely, on 4th of July, fireworks night, you know, you can stay out past dark because fireworks start at 9 o'clock. But as soon as they're done, you got to get out. So you don't really get to spend time and explore the battlefield because you're watching the fireworks, right? But there are roads, like this road, that are open to traffic 24 hours a day. You can't stop, but you can drive through. And if you drive through slowly and roll down the windows, turn off your radio, tell the kids to shut up in the back seat, you can kind of get a feel for the peace that comes. But nothing beats being out of the car and walking around at night in the park. So I'll figure something out. And maybe someday I'll be able to get him to give us one weekend, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I think he's doing a fine job. And I think the park was, you know, it was kind of like they used the term Wild West. It was like the Wild West when before he came in. Because we didn't have a permanent superintendent for a while. So not much gets done. And you need a permanent super for certain things, apparently. So, good afternoon, James. Looks like there are some tourists today. Some, but I mean, this is Labor Day weekend. Not that Labor Day weekend is always a crazy weekend like anniversary weekend or even Memorial Day weekend. It's the last beach weekend of the year, so I would imagine most people that can are at the beach, not here or at the lake or whatever. And they're not coming to battlefields because it's 96 degrees right now. So I think it's, you know, the last heat wave of the year, you want to be near water and not out in open fields with no shade. So I understand that. But from my memory, it seems like it's been busier here on Labor Day weekends. And you could say, well, it's Sunday, but yeah, everybody has Monday off. So what's up with that? Lowry says, hi, Matt. Nice to see you on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you, Lowry. Good to see you again, or at least your name. Obviously, says Michael Stump, having visual aids would be great, being that a much larger group like the Battlefield Trust still takes months to produce. It's totally understandable why you can't yet. Yeah, and that's months to produce with a team. I'm my team when it comes to that. Nobody else edits. I edit everything. And video takes a long time to do. So you can see the corn. Here, I'll give you a nice view here. So the corn's pretty high now. There's that tablet there to give you an idea. I don't know how many feet that is. But I think at its apex, I'm 6'1", So my head is over that apex, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've walked up to it, but you could see the corn is coming up over it. Whoops, let me get out of this guy's way. So, there you have it, and there you go. It's tall. LB says, Matt, I appreciate your story and words of wisdom. A welcome rant. Thanks. Thank you, LB. Karen Sanford, why did they change the park hours to begin with? C? What is C? Well, I think, first of all, I don't believe it is a Gettysburg National Military Park only rule. I think it's a Park Service wide rule that all parks have to close half hour after sunset. Well, at sunset, but you have a buffer of a half hour after to get out. That's, somebody told me that. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what I'm to understand. So it's not a Sims rule, it's a Sims enforced rule, if my understanding is correct. If my understanding is incorrect, then, I don't know, right? Now, the reason that was given, though, publicly was safety. What is the safety? I don't know. I don't know who's gotten hurt at dark or after dark on the park. I think it's more, I don't know. I think that, honestly, I think that was just a bullshit answer, like a, government answer. The reason is they don't want to do it. Law enforcement, they don't have enough law enforcement to do it. But then my answer to that is, well, what about Park Watch? Park Watch has done it for a long time. Why can't Park Watch be there? And then there's always an officer on duty. They can't cover the whole park, obviously. Maybe there's more than one officer on duty, I don't know. But still, it's a lot. I don't know. Now, I know that, look, if you're going to vandalize something, you don't care if the park's open or closed. You'd rather do it when it's closed anyway, because there's a better chance that there won't be any witnesses, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Which road is this? Mr. Panther says new here. Sorry, Mr. Panther, I didn't see that until now, and you were probably talking about a different road. But right now we're at the Peace Light Memorial, and what is the name of the road that goes here? Is it still Buford Avenue? We came off of Buford. Now I think it changes up here to Robinson. That's a great question. I don't think I've ever... No, I think Robinson is the little squiggle. Well, we'll find out. There should be a sign somewhere. So let's see. I think I see the sign up ahead, so let me look at it. All right, so we're on Confederate Avenue. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so that's Confederate Avenue that we were just on up by the Peace Light, because that's where the Confederates were. This one is Doubleday. That's right, because the Doubleday Inn is here. That's a good way to remember that. Doubleday Avenue. So this is Doubleday Avenue. We're back into the safety of the Union lines. Or is it safe in the Union lines? There's Robinson's statue. If you're still in here, Mr. Panther, I'll yell out the names of the roads as we go down them. David Armstrong, anything planned with ABT soon? With me and ABT? I know that the videos that they're putting out regarding the anniversary of the movie, I'm in some of them. I helped out with it, and Gary threw me in very kindly, threw me into the video in a couple points. But no, I mean, well, there's something, I don't know the full details of it yet. I got to talk to some people, but I was contacted by Andrew and Gary, Andrew Dalton from the Adams County Historical Society, and of course Gary from the Trust, and they've been working together on some festivities for the anniversary weekend at the Adams County Historical Society, and I was invited to host a panel with my buddies Bo Brinkman and Joseph Fuqua. So that should be very fun, because I actually keep in touch with them and I have a very good rapport with them. So I really am looking forward to that. I don't know what I would ask them though, because I've asked them everything. I have to go back to listen to my interviews with them and just re-ask them, since they're behind paywalls. So most people haven't heard them anyway. Michael Stump says, Matt, I'm guessing Karen was using C as code for the thing that... Oh. No, it wasn't that. We were still allowed out during C. Thank you, Karen, for that. We were still allowed out there up until 10 o'clock during that time. James, yeah, you know what, James? I didn't see that video where I say there is no time. All right, so we'll go down Confederate Avenue since we're out here. And then I'm gonna head home and put the groceries away. We are behind a truck with Virginia plates. This is the exact type of vehicle that is often seen going the wrong way down one-way roads. Perhaps we will witness it today, perhaps not. We'll see. The license is a vanity plate. It says too slow, and so far he's living up to it. We're going 10 miles an hour in a 25, but in his defense, there is somebody in front of him, so we'll see if that changes once the road opens up ahead. We went over to the new house yesterday. We wanted to measure a couple rooms to see what furniture would fit where. And it's very exciting. Very exciting to make a home with someone. And it's a nice little place. I'm looking forward to it. Mainly, I'm looking forward to her couch, which is a nice big L-shaped sectional that has huge cushions. Huge. I mean, I got to crawl off the thing just to get to the floor. And I'm looking forward to that. It's one of those couches where, like, you know, if you piss off the lady and she banishes you to the couch, you're like, oh, okay. You know, it's like comfortable. Alright, so far too slow, and the person in front of me are moving at a good speed, 25 miles an hour. That's doable. It's also the limit, so that's good. This is the McMillan House on the left, and we're on West Confederate Avenue now. So there's a few Confederate Avenues. There's the one by the Peace Light, which I just realized today. I didn't know that was Confederate Avenue ever. And this is West Confederate Avenue, and then you have East Confederate Avenue over by Culp's Hill. And then I believe part of the road on East Cavalry Field is Confederate Avenue. I want to say it's Confederate Cavalry Avenue, but I don't think that's true. In my head, that's what it is. Maybe I just did that. But anyway, there's another there too. I think that's all of them. Well, you have South Confederate Avenue, which is just an extension of this. This road here. It just kind of cuts over to the south end of the field. And frankly, I don't think, if you look at the signs, I don't think any of them say that. So that's something you got to learn if you're going to be a guide, I guess. So I should probably learn that stuff. But this is why I say I'm not a historian, because, you know, you start going out there spewing things as facts and stuff, and then somebody's like, well, technically, you're wrong. It's the blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. Now you can sleep better at night. All right, now let's see. There is somebody in front of Too Slow still, so. Because we're going 5 miles an hour now. Michael says, I have a coach like that. It even has a couch like that. He has some recliners built in either end. Yeah, my mother and my sister both have one of those. They're electric too. So those are nice. But I do need some comfort, but I don't like too much comfort at home, because then I'm afraid it'll make me lazy. Let's see, I'll have the camera off, so you don't have to look at the butt of that car as much as the battlefield itself. You see the round tops in the distance. Joshua McDowell says, holy crap, this truck is annoying. It's not Too Slow's part, it's or fault. It's the person in front of him, and that person is still there. So hopefully, wait, is that person going to... Oh, it looks like that person's parking. So maybe Too Slow... Oh, no, never mind. It was a joke. Let's see, maybe Too Slow is from Virginia, so maybe they're going to want to go around the Virginia Memorial, and we'll drop one of them at least. I'm hoping... Oh, the person in front has gone, and let's see, Too Slow's going. Yes, we have an open road, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to kick it up to 75 miles an hour. There we go. Okay. Michael Stump says, too much comfort at home is a... Whoops, hold on. Is a legitimate concern. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Victory indeed, Josh. All right, but we're still going 25 miles an hour, so it's not like we're zipping along here. But we don't have anyone going less than 25 in front of us. And that's the important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is sometimes the speed limits are dreadfully slow to begin with, and then when you have someone who insists on going below it, going slower than 25 is torture. I mean, even when I'm in the car with someone else driving and they're going 15, 20, and it's a 25, I'm like, what are you doing? Move it. Why don't you move? And then they're like, oh, gee, all right, I'm sorry. It's such an old man thing. I'm definitely getting more impatient in my older age. And I've noticed this. Like, when I go away somewhere and it's the day to leave, I want to get up and go. Whereas I used to like to milk every minute I can out of where I'm going. Now, it depends on how long of a drive I have. If I have a 1 to 2 hour drive, I might take my time. But if I have a 3 or more hour drive, I want to get going, by 10 o'clock at the latest and get the hell home, especially on a Sunday. I don't like tables. Nobody likes to wait for tables, but I really don't like to wait for tables. I will waste 45 minutes going from restaurant to restaurant to find a shorter wait, even if the first place I went to said it was a 45-minute wait. I would rather feel like I'm moving towards something than just sit there and wait for 45 minutes. It's stupid. I also, when you have to make a left-hand turn and you're coming out onto a road that's busy with traffic going both ways, I can sit there and I can wait for both lanes of traffic to present me an opportunity, or I can make a right-hand turn, and the first left that I can make a U-turn in, I will turn into and make a U-turn and then come out and make another right. And it might take me the same amount of time I would have had to wait for an opening, but I just have to feel like I'm constantly moving towards my goal. It's this weird thing I've always had. And if there's a traffic jam on a certain road and I know a detour through back road or something, I'll take it. My friend used to laugh at me, and he'd call it a mat cut. I would call it a shortcut, but he'd call it a mat cut because technically it doesn't shorten anything. All it does is keep me moving. I might even add a busload of nuns, and they just went off into the river, and all of them drowned, and it was really, really tragic. Back to being a Jersey driver. Yeah, that'll never leave me. It's the one thing I can totally match the pace of life in, a country living, if you will, except when it comes to driving. That's something that, because before you drive, you witness other people driving. And Jersey drivers are impatient and very critical of other drivers, while being bad drivers themselves. But the Jersey attitude is like, yeah, I can do it, but you can't do it. You understand? Why is that so hard to understand? It's okay for me. It's not okay for you when it inconveniences me. I'll be honest with you. That's what it is. In New Jersey, though it's very densely populated up north, you're the only person there. The roads are built for your use. That's the mentality of the Jersey driver. A nice fine horseshoe hair couch back in the day was awesome. Well, you would know, Sickles Leg. You would know. Josh says, I'm a New York driver with little patience. I am who I am. Yeah, no, I hear you. We're very similar in that way, New York and New Jersey. Although you guys take the cake though, because I can't hack driving in New York City. I've been in the car with somebody else driving in New York City many times, and they find it an adventure. I find it nerve-wracking, and I had to do it once, and it was the easiest drive ever. I was going from Queens to the Lincoln Tunnel, right? So it's a mile, I think. That stretch of the island is a mile. And it's a pretty straight shot across the way my GPS took me. But it was a Saturday night, so it was busy, and it took about a half hour to get across because it was just bumper to bumper traffic and lights, at every block. So, it was a pain. I did not. I lost about 30% of whatever hair. Or did I? Well, we're going this way now. Kevin says, you want to see tourists in a park, but when one gets in front of you, you start doing Jersey at them. Yes. I want to see tourists out of my way in the park. Let me modify that. I want to see them on the side of the road, walking around, cars parked. If they're driving down the road and they're gawking, I want to see good things for your community while at the same time being annoyed by the very good things that you need. Because it's all about behavior, right? It's, there's too slow again. We got behind too slow. Did you see that? That was amazing. Yeah. Andrew Casey says, is it Casey or Cassie? Hey, missed you there the last couple weeks. Well, did you let me know you was a here? Michael says, that's why I leave Gettysburg on a Monday. I can't drive it is. Yeah, well, there you go. If you can do it, do it. Oh, yeah, New York is worse than Jersey for sure, but I think because for me, growing up watching New York news, I think the fear is always in the back of my head that, Jersey plates, not knowing how to properly drive like an animal in New York City, you'll just get shot. And then, there's no kindness in cities anymore. And so if you get shot, people just walk by you or step over you as you lay there bleeding out. So I really don't have any desire to go into any city anymore. Somebody was at dinner last night that, he's like, I don't like cities, but for some reason, if there was a city I had to live in, it would be D.C. I was like, you're out of your freaking mind. What? That's nuts. Lance says, Maverick, slow down. It's Sunday. It's never Sunday for me. This is the first Sunday that I've had in a while that is actually a Sunday. In the beginning, I went to bed last night at like 10:30 or whenever it was I got home. I took the dog out, I came inside, played with her for a little bit, but fell asleep on the couch. Then woke up with her sleeping on the floor. And then I put her in her crate, went to bed, slept through till 6:30, took her out, came back in. Next thing I know, it's noon and I'm waking up and the dog's curled up at my feet on the couch. and we were both sleeping. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I was tired and I needed it. And I feel refreshed. But I'm also I went grocery shopping, doing a nice little It's just too nice to be stuck inside. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go outside, do grocery shopping, drive around the battlefield, do a little video for everybody, and then head home and relax. Because I don't really get to do that much anymore. So relaxing is nice. Cassie. Okay. Cassie. Andrew Cassie. Mr. Panther says, as a guy who grew up in Jersey, I can tell you that Miami has the absolute worst drivers. So yeah, I don't know anything about Florida drivers or Miami drivers, if they're different than Florida drivers in general. I don't know. We do get Florida visitors up here, but I haven't really noticed them making the biggest goofs. Biggest goofs, I have to say, are Virginia. I see more Virginia plates going the wrong way down a one-way road in the park than any other state. And I don't know why. I mean, I have an idea because I have family there, so I've been in the car with Virginia drivers. And it's pretty simple, really. They make up their own rules. Signs that say do not enter are a suggestion. Because if I want to get to, let's say, that obelisk there, the Regulars Monument, and I'm coming from north of it, so we're facing roughly north, coming up from the south. But I'm up there. I'm up by McDonald's, which you can't see right now, but it's there. Oh, it's over there. I'll just go, well, those do not enter signs are for other people. I want to go down to that obelisk, so I'm just going to turn here anyway. I think that's the mindset of the Virginia driver. I don't mean any harm, officer. People could get around me. There's those excuses I've heard before. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think Jersey drivers are the worst because we grow up learning how to drive, quote unquote, defensively. But any of us who study military history know that the best defense is a good offense. So technically, we're really driving offensively because you have to in New Jersey. Or at least that's how we interpret defensive driving. So when we leave New Jersey, we still drive like animals. And everybody's like, what are these Jersey drivers doing? What's this thing they're doing where they're changing 3 lanes in one move? Well, that's called the Jersey sweep. You're in the far left lane on a 4-lane highway, and your exit's coming up in a quarter of a mile, and your GPS just told you, then you do a sweep. Sorry, I thought that guy was pulling over to let me pass. Sorry, sir. Or ma'am, whoever you were. So there's a good amount of cars here in the cemetery lot. In a cemetery lot, you can park here, go to the cemetery, or you can go to Ziegler's Grove and the Angle and that area there. So I don't know if these are all people going to see the cemetery, but I do know that when I was working at Gettysburg, people are very interested to see the cemetery, and that's something that they definitely want to see when they come here, and rightfully so. I think it's a moving place. I stand in the unknown section. Well, there's a couple unknown sections, but either one of them. And to me, that's the most moving part of the cemetery. Because those are guys who, whose families notice their absence, but they don't know exactly what happened to them. And, if they know that they went missing or were killed, if someone saw them killed at Gettysburg, but they're not in a marked grave. Like, that's got to just be pain on top of pain. And so that always moves me the most. These leaves look a little fallish. Oh my God, they're turning already. If I recall, they kind of bloomed late in the spring. So I wonder, when they bloom late, do they fall off early? Or does it have to do with rainfall? Somebody told me once. My mother hung me on a hook once. What movie is that from? Andrew says, one day, do you think I could request a drive-by of the Longstreet Monument out there in the little campsite off Confederate Road? My favorite monument. Yeah, of course. And yes, Mr. Panther got it. Johnny Dangerously was the movie. Joe Piscopo, I believe, delivered that line. The Joe Piscopo who was fun for 20 minutes and then had a very douche chill inducing music career / nightclub act. Leaves are turning around us in New York. Wife is already getting Halloween stuff out. Yeah, I know some stores have Halloween stuff already, which they normally do in August, but ugh. Well, I am looking forward to this fall and winter because Cindy and I will be living together, and I am looking forward to that for the first time ever. Looking forward to that. Andrew says Gettysburg on All Hallows Eve. Bucket list for sure. Yeah, so people ask me, we're on Carmen Avenue, by the way. And you may be saying, where in the world is Carmen Avenue? Wow, the Living History. See, this is weird. So Labor Day weekend, there was Living History here yesterday, and they're gone already on Sunday. Huh. So anyway, people ask me if, they're like, oh, Halloween must be awesome in Gettysburg with all the ghost stuff and everything. I gotta say, if it is, I'm not aware of it because that stuff isn't on my radar. We do have a Halloween parade. But, it's interesting. I was watching the Halloween parade last year, and it dawned on me that parades, whatever their stated purpose is, are really just in-person commercials for local businesses, which they always were. But it just occurred to me that's really what they are. That's it. When you boil it down, that's what it is. Uh, Teaching the Civil War says, "Hi, Matt." "Hi, Teaching the Civil War. How are you?" All right, we'll head on up to the top of Culp Hill here. Yeah, great run into you yesterday. It's always funny who you run into. You never know who you're going to meet out on the battlefield. So it was very nice. And who was the guy you were with that said he listens to the show? Was that a guy that you were with, or that you just bumped into and he kind of joined you? Because I think you guys left together, or separately. Excuse me. Yeah, I liked those rock carvings too. I didn't know that there were rock carvings there. What were we behind? The 149th New York, I think? Yeah, that's where we were. And there's some rock carvings. There are 3 in that area that we looked at. Might be more. Might be less. Only God knows. I honestly don't know. I just ran into him first at the Spangler Farm and then on Culp's Hill. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool then. I always love, I mean, who wouldn't, right? I love bumping into people somewhere and they come up to me and say that they're listeners. It just feels really nice. It just feels really nice. And it's even more interesting to me that he didn't know you. So it's not like he was a friend of yours and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going on Addressing Gettysburg this week." And he's like, "What's that?" And then you tell him and he goes and listens. This is a guy completely unrelated to you that you just bumped into and picked up for a little bit and followed you around, and you bumped into me and he's like, "Oh, I listen to your show." And that's always cool. It always kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say it means more, but it has it's a different type of tickle that it gives you when you meet someone who doesn't know anyone that you know and they listen to the show. Andrew says, "So Matt, could you give us a little history of how you came to live in Gettysburg and when you created this live chat?" Sure, Andrew. I will try to give it as briefly as I possibly can so as not to bore the people who have already heard it. Picture it. New Jersey, 1978. It was a sweltering June day. My mom goes to the hospital to deliver what would be a gift to the world if it were someone else. But instead it was me. Fast forward to age 30. Actually, fast forward to high school. See, all right, here, enough with the goofiness. Here's the story. 17 years old, senior high school, take military history. You could have gone, sir. That guy gave you room. Take military history class senior year, mainly because everybody always talked about this class. Well, I was interested in military history first. Then everybody's like, you got to take Mr. Foresso's military history class. It's awesome, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. So I take the class. And this was back in the days when educators were allowed to educate, right? So he brought uniforms and the firearms that American soldiers carried in every war from the French Indian War up to, at that point, Desert Storm. And we got to handle it. We got to touch the uniforms. We got to handle the firearms. It was really cool. Then we watched the movie Gettysburg because we knew spring semester, the field trip in May, was going to be to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And so we watched the movie Gettysburg to prepare us for it. So that's 1996, 3 years after the movie came out. It's already being used as a teaching tool in American history courses. So we, hold on a second. Okay. So we, and see now this person's trying to park in a space bag. So it's like, what are you doing? Manassas, Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, that whole area, the wilderness. And yeah, I'm telling the story as we're on the same road, so I will try to match the story. And so we pick up the guide at the visitor center, and we start driving through town. The guide is telling us, I'm in the front seat of the bus, so I'm seeing what you're seeing right now, basically. And, I'm like, okay, this is cool so far, And then, I don't remember what he was saying. He's given us background. We haven't even gotten to the battle yet, right? He's just given us, why are we up here, all that stuff. I can't tell you what he's saying at the point that we're at right now in the road. But as I come up over this hill, you're about to see the view that caught me. This. The McPherson barn, the rolling ridges, the mountains in the distance, and I was hooked. That was it. That cresting of that ridge was all it took. I didn't need to take the tour. I was hooked on this place. Something happened, it sounds so corny, but something happened in my soul that never... It's kind of like the whole Jim Morrison, what was the thing he did with there was a car accident with a road crew of Navajo, day laborers or whatever, and it was a bad accident, and one of them was laying there dying in the road, and he claimed that his soul leapt into little 4-year-old Jimmy Morrison, but he's being poetic and goofy there. But I can tell you, without being poetic and goofy, because I'm goofy, but I'm not poetic, that looking back, I think that really is what happened to me, is like something affected my soul by coming here. And I'm leaning more towards it's because this is where I was meant to live. And this will all make sense later when I get to the end of the story. So anyway, fast forward 10 years. My father and I, by the way, after that trip, I came home and I said to my Dad, we have to go there for a weekend. It's the coolest place on earth. It's better than Manassas. It's better than Fredericksburg. It's better than everything we've ever seen. So we booked a trip for that summer. And the summer after, we would always come down during the anniversary and see the reenactment and everything like that. And it was a lot of fun. And I just loved it. I never felt happy throughout my year, except for the 3 days that we spent here, or 2 days that we would spend here on our annual trip. And so I'm in my 20s. I'm living in New Jersey. I'm working for my dad. I'm not liking it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but there's nothing in New Jersey that I can sink my teeth into. And it was just on a trip down here with family and friends. We're walking around the battlefield. It's hot as hell. My friend goes, man, I wish we brought bikes. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen a place to rent bikes around here. So I take that idea, I go home with it, and I work it out in my mind a bit. I talk to some friends, and they're like, let's do this. I'll do it with you, you know? So we kind of pool our money, and we kind of pool our ideas, and we realize that bike rentals isn't enough. We need to do tours. People need to experience the battlefield, and they need to experience the story of the battle. So walking is the best way to do it, but it's so big you can't possibly do the whole battle by foot. You can't really in a business doing a tour. You really can't even get the whole battlefield with a full day of riding. You get the vast majority of it, but you're gonna miss some stuff. So anyway, it went from bike rentals to bike tours. That following June, I opened Getty's Bike Tours in 2005. It's still in existence. I don't own it anymore, but it's still in existence. And I was told, here's an example of how business unfriendly the borough of Gettysburg is. I was told by the code enforcement officer when I went to get my sign permit, she says, you know, other people have tried this, but no one's lasted more than 3 years. And I said, well, I will. And here we are coming on 20 years later. And I brought it up 5 years. I raised it, and then I put it up for adoption and sold it to Bob Steenstra, who was a guide who rode for us more than anybody. And he loves cycling, and he loves history, and he's a teacher. This was like a perfect business for him. Anyway, after I sold it to him, I moved back to Jersey to get into video production, film production. I took up podcasting as a hobby for the fun of it, but I really enjoyed it. I always liked the idea of mass communication. 8 years later, I moved back here to start Address Gettysburg, and here we are. So, you know, that's basically how it went. And then what was the other thing? And then the live chat. Well, I used to do what I called porch chats on my Instagram account. And then I kind of, you know, to sit out on the porch when it's 85 degrees or 90 degrees and you've been outside all day, you kind of don't want to do it. And so I kind of started to not do porch chats. But I was like, well, one way I can do a porch chat and be comfortable is, and then also, which isn't me sitting on a porch. Nobody wants to look at me. They want to look at the battlefield. And I was like, the battlefield's literally in my backyard, so why don't I just drive around the battlefield and talk about whatever like I used to do on my porch chats. But I'll do it on YouTube. Well, first I did it on Facebook. But here's why I don't like Facebook and Instagram anymore. They play games with you. They want you to buy advertising. And if you don't, and you're a business page, which I am on both of them, your very own viewers don't know when you're going live all the time. And you very rarely are discovered by someone who's not already a follower. So your growth there, for me, it's just too much. And you can't monetize it. You know, like this stuff I do, like it takes my time. It takes my skills and my talents that I've learned and honed over the years. And, you know, some people have a day job and they would do something like this on the side as a hobby and don't want to get paid for it, which is fine. But I wanted to make this my job, my career. Like I did not want to have the day job and do this as a hobby. So I went for broke, basically. It's like, I was like, because my life wasn't really panning out at all the way I wanted it to by going down the beaten path. So I finally got to the point where I had to say to myself, People who love you give you advice, but that's advice they're comfortable with. It's advice that they know how to give. They're not giving you advice for you. They're giving you advice for them. And most people wouldn't even know how to advise someone on how to do this unless you've done it. So, you can't blame them. But I had to say, you got to stop that. And you need to get away from the people who don't, because those who know us most respect us least, right? So you got to get away from those people and start listening to your heart and your own mind and do what you think is right. And you know what is right because you can feel it. And so that's what I did. And, so I decided this is what I've always wanted to do for a living, and I'm going to try to do it. And I had to do 2 jobs. I had this on the side while I had a regular job. And built this up to the point where I was able to quit my regular job. Now, other people wouldn't necessarily be enough money for someone who is a husband and a father and has a mortgage and all that other stuff. But I had none of those things, mostly by decision of my own, to not have those things until I want to be good for them. I want to enhance their life if I can and have them enhance mine. Otherwise, I won't do it. And so I was in a better position to go for broke because I was already broke. So I could only go up. Couldn't get any worse. I don't recommend it if you can avoid it, but I just couldn't avoid it. That's just the way life worked out. So we're going through the campus of Gettysburg College, in case you didn't know. School's back in session. I know this because of the screaming at 3 a.m. in my neighborhood, but I will soon be rid of that, ladies and gentlemen, as I will move out of town to peace and quiet, and only the distant hissing of Route 15 to disturb me. Let's see here. Teaching the Civil War. Funny when he asked if that is Matt from Addressing Gettysburg. Oh, really? That's funny. Katie loved meeting Major. Oh, good. Major loves little kids. Because she's a little kid. She's only 7 months old, so she's a child herself. She loves everybody, but if there's like 2 adults and a little kid walking... Andrew, I hope that answered your question. Tears. %, Andrew. Day one is fast. When I came up and saw, and the story of the place will make me love it even more. So, I don't know. It's just, that's what it was. And yes, day one is fascinating, but I didn't realize how fascinating it was until I started doing this show, really. Because, again, my first knowledge, my first information that I received about the Battle of Gettysburg was from the movie, which many of us have experienced. And so I of course was swept up with the drama and romance of Pickett's Charge and the 20th Maine on Little Round Top and everything. And those things still get me. But the more I learn about Culp's Hill or Day One, the more I'm like, that's where the real story's at. And that's the other thing that's interesting about history is, figuring out where we get these ideas of certain historical events. And it's all from previous generations and how they've retold the story, what they've honed in on, and what others grew up learning and then continued or built on or something. And so for the longest time, Pickett's Charge was like the thing. And then with Shara's book, the 20th Maine was added to that. But if you look at like real history of, and I hate that term, the real history, I don't mean it in the lost causer kind of way, but if you look at the real history of Gettysburg, the first place everybody tried to, first of all, acquire, like buy, was Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill. And the places that people wanted to see was Culp's Hill, because there was visible battle damage. The trees were pockmarked from bullets. So that's what people wanted to see. And where am I? Table Rock Road. I don't know if this is where I wanted to go. Where did I want to go? Anyway, so that's what everybody wanted to see, and rightfully so. It's 12 hours that was that Culp's Hill was fought over, for 12 total hours out of the 3-day battle. No other part, the famous parts of the battle, were not even close to that. 2 hours at the most, maybe. So like, that's fascinating to me. Oh, I took the wrong road. I wanted to, damn it. I see, that's what happens when I talk and drive. I take the wrong road sometime. Anyway, so that's what captured the imagination of the Civil War generation. But then as time goes on, and you get into all the squabbles over the lost cause and who lost, parsing all these things. And then was it Faulkner with his whatever work that was that he did about every 14-year-old boy, blah blah blah. So the pop culture takes over. And I think that the historians are working today are, I think they're doing a good job at revisiting all of these things, and some might say revising in a derogatory way. And I think there are some who are revising it for a bad agenda. Revising it to get to more of an accurate picture of what it was really like at the time. This is Table Rock Road, by the way, if you're wondering. I think this is where the reenactment used to be held. I'm passing right now. It looks like it is. But yeah, they're doing a really good job. Like Jen Murray has been working on a book about Meade, and kind of like it's a biography about Meade, actually, mostly on the Civil War though. And Kent Masterson Brown, Meade at Gettysburg, and there's a lot of stuff that people have been doing now that's taking a look at things and kind of wiping that, well, what do you want to call it? It's just wiping away the misconceptions of the past, or maybe not wiping them away, but just putting more paint on the canvas to make a fuller picture of these people and these events. So I think it's really good. Because I'm not one of these people that is afraid of uncomfortable facts of history. Because it's history. They're all dead. We're alive now. It's our turn to not live in horrible times. But we must always remember that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that's the problem with trying to not live in horrible times, is you to avoid the hell of the past, you create a brand new hell that future generations will try to avoid. Anyway, I don't know what got me started on that. This is Goldenville. I'm not familiar with the areas of town, but I need to become because I'm moving up here. So I need to kind of get to know the roads better. But yeah, this is Goldenville Road. It's very nice up here, very rural and quiet. Nice and quiet. Lots of farms, lots of fields, lots. All right, now we are at, this is 34. This is the Carlisle Road. So we're heading south on the Carlisle Road into Gettysburg. So now I guess it would be the Gettysburg Road. First day battle through town. Lance says this. First day battle through town with the man in the red shirt was awesome. Thank you, Lance. But it would be even better with you two in the car trying to explain everything. Well, you know, it's funny you say that, Lance. I'm working on something. I need to get the cameras for it. And once I've saved the money to do that, I'm working on a video series that is very similar to what you're talking about. And yes. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. Town would be kind of hard, though, with all the traffic. Because you can't just stop, you know. But we can walk around with this idea. This idea involves in and out of the cars. All right, let's go this way. This is Hers Ridge Road. So if you are familiar, if you're interested in the routes that troops took, this would have been Heath's division. I'm sorry, Rhodes' division. So they would have gone down the Carlisle Pike like that and then cut over here onto Hers Ridge Road. Another beautiful place. Ronnie Ronstadt doesn't live too far here. She lives in the elite neighborhood off up on this area. Society Hill, we call it, but it's got a different name. And she looks down from the Widow's Walk that she has on top of her house. She has a telescope and looks down into those poor people. How do they exist down there? All piled on top of each other? Really is a miserable existence for them. And then she goes back inside and has a cup of tea. We love Veronica. Veronica is like the sister I never had, and I'm like the brother she never wanted. So, of course, Hers Ridge Road did not have the neighborhoods that it has here today, just farms and fields and woods, I'm sure. But at some point, Rhodes' men, I think, and it would be smarter to do this, instead of taking the Mummersburg Road, which is the intersection we're going to come up to, at some point they must have caught an old farm lane or something. I can't remember. Actually, I know that they did. I don't remember what it was that they caught, but something off to the left, probably a little before where we are now. They would have taken to Oak Hill. And let's see, just real quick, because there's nobody coming behind me. let's give you an idea. That's Big Round Top, right there, that distant hill, this Big Round Top. It's easier to see Big Round Top and know it's Big Round Top from a distance now, because last year when that tornado came through on the anniversary, it took down some trees right at the top. So it's got a gap tooth look to it now. Anyway, to our left is where Rhodes' division would have been using the screen of the topography to hide their movements as they went to Oak Hill to get online. And we, of course, are taking the Mummasburg Road. I imagine that some of Rhodes' men would have taken the Mummasburg Road too. I don't really know. Yes, that's Ken Rich. If you listen to our Ask a Guide episodes, his ads run in the beginning, and there's contact information on the ad if you want to book him for a town tour. He knows a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot. It's amazing how his brain works, because he knows a ton of stuff. And he was really interested in the civilians. He was interested in all of it, but he is very much interested in the civilians, the town, the history of the town, the roads. When we talk, I come out more confused than when I went in, because he throws so much information out. I'm like, there's just no way I'm ever going to be able to learn all this stuff, you know. But again, I'm talking with people who are 30 plus years experienced in this, have been studying it as a profession, or just take their hobby really seriously and study it incessantly. And I'm really, I mean, you could say I would say I've been reading about the battle for 20 years, 25 years. Well, how old am I? Yeah, 25, no, maybe 30. Yeah, like when the movie, yeah, so, well, not exactly 30, but a little under 30, over 25, between 25 and 30 years. Doesn't matter, let's say 25. 25 years. I've been reading about it. No. All right, let's go back. For 20 years, I had been reading about the battle. For the last 5, I've been studying it. And it's become one of those things where it's like, the more you know, the less you understand. It's not the less I understand. It's the more I know I don't know all the more there is to know. There's so much to know. But again, and this is what guides tell me, people who have passed successfully the guide exam, they all tell me, you do not need to be Ken Rich or Tim Smith or Gary Edelman and know everything and be able to recall it like that. Those guys are exceptions to the rules. Their minds work in mysterious ways that us mere mortals could only hope to understand and train our brains to work in such a way. But we can't, because we're equipped with what we're equipped with, and that's it. To give a tour, you need to be able to tell a general overview of the battle in 2 hours. And so everybody that's stressing out like me, about, when you hear Tim and all these guys and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to take the test because there's no way I could do that. That's not what they were tested on. That's not what guides are tested on today. It's just not. So don't psych yourself out over that. It's easier said than done, because I do it all the time. And I'm in constant contact with these people, and they're always telling me, don't think that way. That's not the way to think. You just need to do this, just need to do that. But it's hard to, I'm stretching. Hold on. Oh, God almighty. It's hard to dissuade. Is that the word I'm looking for? Dissuade yourself of that notion. Hello, Marie. Good to see you in here. It's 4:30 already. So that's what happens when you sleep till noon. All right. Well, we'll go one more loop through town here, and then that's about it. I feel like there's something I forgot to get at Giant that I remembered, and now I forgot what it was that I remembered. I guess that's why people keep lists. Anyway, that hopefully I'll remember what I needed at Giant before I go home, but I won't, and then I'll go back out and waste more time and money and gas. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna pull into the 7-Eleven here. Go ahead, do what you're doing. Go ahead. All right, and that's about it. So you guys have yourself a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend. And I will see you, I don't know, maybe tomorrow. It's a day off. So maybe tomorrow, maybe not. Definitely Tuesday. Have yourselves a great one. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.